As mentioned in the last video, lifestyle design is much more than just working online. Rather, it's just about putting your lifestyle first and your career second. It's turning your priorities on their head, and it's recognizing that you don't have to live to work anymore. But the most obvious example of this is still working online. So, just to illustrate what most people will picture when you say the words lifestyle design, let's take a look at one particularly popular type of lifestyle, that of the digital nomad. So, what is a digital nomad? A digital nomad is someone who has completely rejected the conventional idea of working in an office or really of accepting any restrictions whatsoever. Instead, this is someone who has embraced the possibilities of the internet and taken them to their furthest extremes by becoming a nomad. What this means is that the digital nomad is able to travel the world, stay on the move, and see lots of different countries and things. All the while, they will work on a laptop wherever they can find Wi Fi in order to provide services, run a blog, marketing, or otherwise managing some kind of business. The lifestyle of the digital nomad then would typically involve exploring, traveling, and meeting new people during the day, and then spending the evenings working in cafes and bars while soaking up the atmosphere. They can go wherever they want, see whatever they want, and never have to answer to anyone in any sense. What's more, the digital nomad can work significantly less than the average office worker. That's because the cost of staying in hostels, traveling on cheap rail fares, and generally living their kind of lifestyle is much less than renting a property or paying off a mortgage. The digital nomad knows exactly how much money they need to do the things they want to do, and then they work just hard enough to fund those specific intended activities. If they don't manage to make the money that day, they can stay where they are. If they do make the money, then they can afford to try something more exciting. The digital nomad lifestyle is one that will be incredibly appealing to the right kind of person. If you're someone who wants to see the world, if you value your freedom and experiences above all else, and if you're able to forego your creature comforts, then you'll get a real joy out of being able to see the world on your own time and live the life you want. But it's certainly not for everyone. If you're somebody who likes to relax in a nice warm bath while drinking tea, then you might struggle with constantly moving from one hostel to another. Likewise, you might want to start a family, or you may love the idea of buying a home and making it exactly the way you've always dreamed it would be. But this is the whole point of lifestyle design. You are designing your lifestyle using the freedom that modern tools give you, and that can mean whatever you want it to mean. I personally work from home because I love the freedom. I don't actually work out of a home office, though, as I find that claustrophobic. Instead, I work in coffee shops where I can soak up the atmosphere, chat to people, and watch the world go by outside. I meet friends for lunch often, and I come home early to work out. What's more, I'm constantly traveling. Now, I don't like the idea of being constantly away, and so I like to take lots of shorter trips instead of being constantly away for one long trip. There's nothing stopping me from being able to visit somewhere new for a long weekend, taking my laptop and working out there for Friday and Monday. I don't have to take time off, I don't have to ask anyone's permission. Being UK based, this year I've been to Dortmund in Germany, Cornwall, that's in the west of England, repeatedly, the Forest of Dean in Wales, Salou in Spain, Mauritius, the Rhine Falls in Switzerland, Radzofel in Germany, Lisbon in Portugal. In a week's time, I'm going to stay in a log cabin for a week with my wife, and I'm still going through the process of buying a house. As I said earlier, I meet friends regularly for lunch, I take days off to pursue things I want to pursue, and I'm building a business and a brand that I'm really proud of. This is a lifestyle that anyone can have now, if they so choose. So why limit yourself to just one holiday a year? Why spend your life looking forward to the freedom you'll get from retirement rather than letting yourself experience life right now? But what if you don't want to give up the day job? What if you don't want to work online or you think you're not tech savvy enough for that option? You know what? That's fine too. Lifestyle design is not completely reliant on you being able to become a digital marketer or a web designer. One option is to discuss with your current employer about the possibility of flexi time. Express an interest in working from home whenever possible, or in having the freedom to come in an hour later and leave an hour later, or vice versa. And don't just take no for an answer. Explain how you can be more productive and demand to know why your boss is saying no, if indeed they are. At the very least, try to overcome the notion that a good employee should be willing to stay until 7 p.m. to finish their work. If it gets to the end of the day and you haven't finished yet, leave. As much as you might feel a pang of guilt at leaving your work unfinished, it's the burden of management to make sure that work is able to be completed in the time given. And if you're not able to do that, then they need to hire more staff, take on less work, or generally rethink. It's not your responsibility. And that's one of the few perks of being an employee. Better yet, though, is just to change your job altogether, but now to think of your work in an entirely different way. Instead of finding a job that will pay the most and potentially also involve taking on a lot of responsibility that you don't enjoy, instead think about what you want out of life and what kind of job will be best suited to giving you that. So, for example, this might mean becoming a rubbish collector. Being a rubbish collector is something that many of us wouldn't consider to be a good or glamorous job. But then ask yourself, why does a job need to be glamorous? Why does a job need to carry importance or respect? Why is it important to you that people sound approving when you tell them your job? Instead, focus on the actual merits of being a rubbish collector. You start work early but finish early, giving you plenty of time to exercise, engage in hobbies, or spend time with family. It's surprisingly well paid for what you're doing. It's physical, meaning you can get some exercise. You don't have any stress or responsibility. At the end of the day, you get home and you forget about work rather than worrying about the things that you haven't managed to finish. Now, I'm not saying that you should really become a rubbish collector, not for a moment. But I am saying it's a viable option if it fits the lifestyle that you want to live. And it's a good example of why you should consider jobs that you might traditionally have rejected in the past. There are many other career choices that can give you even more freedom and flexibility, and that might prove to be an even better decision. For example, driving instructor. A driving instructor is someone who has all the stability of being employed, but all the freedom of being self employed. You can decide when you want to take on clients, and you can arrange lessons so that the rest of the time you're free to do what you want to do. The same can be said for a taxi driver, hairdresser, or piano teacher. Again, it pays to think about the lifestyle you want and then the job that supports it, not the other way around.